Hi, I haven't done a video in quite some time. I've done some dancing videos, but I haven't done a talking video in a while, and I guess it's time that I do so. Nothing really has changed in my life, everything's pretty much the same, but I think it's important that I share my story, my feelings, my emotions, uh, how I deal with life and separation, uh, my hopes and dreams, goals, friends I met, friends I know, friends I like and care about. Uh, Life is not always easy, obviously. I also have my own struggles, and I tend to be alone a lot. I'm pretty shy as a person. Uh, the only way I really open up is through my social media. It's like a way for me to hide behind the scenes and still express myself. Uh, I've made friends in Facebook and YouTube and other uh, social media sites. I've also met some of my friends from Facebook in person, uh, most obviously in the local setting, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's important to meet people. I am open to meeting good people. Uh, I'm not into Facebook for meeting someone in a relationship. I just want to make friends. I'm obviously married and I have a son, so my intentions are not to look for romance. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here obviously to share my story about my own personal struggles with the intention that hopefully I can gain something out of it. And if I can help somebody along the way, that would be cool. Uh, I also have a son who I care about. I don't see quite often. Basically, I only see him now during holidays uh, and when he has vacations. He's 16, he's autistic, and he goes upstate to a special school a good 6 hours away by car. And it's hard. I miss him terribly. I've met some real special friends on Facebook, and I'm very happy that I have met uh, them. In a way, they've impacted me in a good way. Uh, there's one girl who I really think is a sweetheart. Her name is Kim Mendoza, and she addresses me as mom. Obviously, she seeking a mother figure, and I'm honored that she looks at me in that sense. I'm a transgender woman, but I feel that if she wants to address me as a mom, and I want her to feel happy and comfortable, then I'm all for it. And I encourage her to do what she feels is helpful to her. I know it's important to know that you have someone in your life who cares about you. I've been fortunate that I have grown with wonderful parents. They're both gone now, but I was very lucky to have a wonderful mom and dad. I never told them though about my transgender feelings. I kept that to myself. But I think it's important that you find a way to communicate with your parents that helps you grow. And when you're growing, as I know from being a child and also from raising a child, that it's hard. And I can see it now with my son. And I try to go back in time to think when I was a kid. And believe me, when I was my son's age now, 16, it was hard. And I didn't feel comfortable. I was very depressed. And I was shy and very scared about what the future was to be for me. And I didn't feel comfortable. I had very few friends. And I was very awkward. And I felt shy. And the only way I could deal with that was to work hard in my studies. And that's what strikes me about this cute girl from the Philippines, Kim, is that she's a very studious girl. And that's what her focus is, to do well in her schoolwork. And she's very bright. She's only 16 and she's in college. And I admire her for that. Unfortunately, she is not able to continue her studies right now for financial reasons. I know what it's like to struggle financially. I struggle all the time. And I told her, if I can try to help you, I'll do what I can. So I promised her I would send her maybe a couple of hundred. It's not much. I've helped another girl from the Philippines. I don't help people often. I can't afford to. But, I'm trying. I'm not a perfect person. I also have a girl here who's my friend. Her name is April. And she's also trying to get situated in her own life. And, I want to help her too as best I can. It's hard to grow up and to make decisions and to take on life's challenges. It's never easy, but sometimes you need a good support system. Some people sadly don't have that, and they struggle. I also had tried to help two teenagers who are in a relationship who are struggling with finding a place to live. And sadly, I couldn't have them stay for a long period of time because I have to respect my wife's wishes. But I love those kids. They're my friends, and I care about them. And I care about April, but obviously she has to find her place too. She can't stay. My wife has the same feelings, and I have to respect her for that. So I'm in a situation now where I may have to drive down to Florida to get her to a place to live. Either that or Virginia. I don't know yet where that will be. But, and I don't even know if my car could make that kind of trip. I just don't know the answers sometimes, you know. And I'm only human. I can only do so much. I also met some nice friends in Europe. Uh, Caroline Rose. She's adorable. I love having conversations and chats with her. And she's taught me quite a bit about just role playing. It's a game that we play, and we talk about situations, and we vary the criteria, and it turns out to be hours of fun, and we just chat away with this kind of dialogue, and I never did that before, and it's really fun. And I've also done it with another friend of hers who's a sweetheart, and he's a good guy, and they're both from Ireland, I would love to visit them and hang out with them if I could. It's a shame that we live in a world where money is always an issue and we don't always have the money to do the things that we really would like to. Uh, you know, I would love to go down to Disney World with my son and my family and do a vacation, but it's so expensive. I would love to go to Ireland and see where my mother's family is from. And I just think life is complicated. And unfortunately, we live in a very complex world. And if you don't work, it's hard to make a living. It's hard to survive. And I'm not working by choice. I'm not working because, unfortunately, people in society don't agree with the choices I've made. They look at me as an oddity, a freak, someone who's not supposed to have a choice of expression in the way they feel they should. And I could never understand that kind of mentality. For me, it's not a matter of choice. It's a matter of who I am and how I identify. I always identified as a female, but I tried my best to live a male life and to do everything that was expected of me. I tried to fit in. I went to college for engineering. I went to Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, Virginia. I studied mechanical engineering. And I went to Hofstra University in Hempstead, New York, in my hometown. And I just wanted to do right and make a living and make a life for myself. And I battled with my feelings. And for the longest time, I thought, I licked it. I figured I've made it this far. I don't think it's going to be a problem. But in the years of growing up, it was a problem because I was hiding it. And I couldn't bring it out of myself. I couldn't express my true self. I couldn't tell people how I truly felt. I was living a lie, and it was really bringing me down. And I didn't know what to do about it. I just lived in my own world of pretend, and I dressed up, and I escaped. And I found other ways to escape. It wasn't just cross-dressing. I was into sports. I played baseball. I was a cross-country runner. I was also into schoolwork. I was very studious. I loved my math and my sciences. So I escaped through that. And I made some friends along the way. Not many, but I had my share of friends that I considered good friends. And it was helpful to me. But I never had the courage to tell people how I truly felt. And I hadn't sought therapy until after my mom had passed away. I sought therapy about 1994. I was 33 years old, and my mom had passed away 4 years earlier. And she was 49 when she passed away. I was devastated. I was 29 when she passed. and it was very difficult for me to deal with. And I went through a severe depression. Uh, my sisters already had left and gone about their own lives, but I was still home with my dad. And I tried to be a source of support for him, but my dad also had problems, and he tried to deal with them as best he could, and his vice was drinking. He had a drinking problem, and he went to Alcoholics Anonymous and tried to get the help that he needed. And my way of dealing with the pressures of life and the heartbreaks was to bury myself in my work and to cross dress and to identify as the female that I knew I was inside. And I needed to get therapy because I wasn't able to express that. I had to do it in secret, and it was killing me. And I didn't feel that I could live under these circumstances much longer. I was suicidal. I tried to overdose. I really wound up very sick. And I lost my interest. I really didn't have any desires. I had no motivation. I felt totally lost. And it's an awful feeling, you know? You feel like you don't want to do anything. You don't want to live. You just want to give up. And it's an awful feeling. And I was depressed. I was suicidal. I felt that life wasn't worth living. And I just wanted out. I had no prospects of meeting anybody. I thought I would just die a lonely guy with nobody. No girlfriend, no wife, no children. And I didn't want that. And that's when I knew I had to get help. And I went into therapy. I was 33. Maybe I should have went to therapy many years earlier. That was 30 years after I knew that I was different. I knew I was different at the age of 3. And I felt like I was a girl. But I couldn't tell anybody that. But I knew it as young as 3 years old. And I started to wear a dress at that age. But 33 was the year, my age, that I started to seek help. And started to go to this therapist for years. And eventually we discussed my transgender issues. We discussed my shyness. We discussed my relationships. We discussed the loss of my mom. We discussed the alcohol problems with my dad. We discussed my inability to communicate with people and open up and to have a fulfilling life. We discussed my relationships with my sisters, my relationship with my dad, my relationships with my parents in my earlier years. We discussed about my cross-dressing. We discussed my feelings about being transgender. And we discussed my feelings about my accomplishments, my goals, my dreams, my hopes, my desires, my wishes. And therapy helps, but it's not a cure. You have to come to a point in your life when you can admit who you are and come to terms with that. And when you can do that, then you have to make choices. You have to make decisions. And it's not easy. Trust me, I know. My biggest accomplishment in life, my happiest moment, without a doubt, is the birth of my son. When my wife gave birth and I was there to witness it, that was what my life meant. My son, my wife, my family. Love you, Emily.